Alright guys, so today we are going to be talking about Xi Gundam. So should you guys go for Xi Gundam? So my honest hot take on this unit is honestly a no. Alright. Believe it or not, despite how much I like the Xi Gundam, despite the fact that how this unit was very memorable because back in 2021 when they dropped the Hathaway Flash movie. Honestly, man, that was like a really top tier experience for me as far as like watching like a more modernized movie. That was like pretty good. And then here we come, we have Sea Freedom, all right, triumphing over that. But anyways, I do feel that the Kasi Gundam, in terms of this one specifically, there are a lot of places where I feel like they're lacking, or I just don't think this is a good tank overall. So I have already tried it out. I have already recorded my initial showcase. I have already recorded my max out showcase. So I think you guys would probably be seeing them, or at least the initial showcase, you guys will probably be seeing it tomorrow. And then the max out showcase should be a few days later. But to my conclusion, I do feel like this unit is just not enough in general. If we do take a look at the kit, you know, stat wise, I think they are pretty much where they should be as far as tank wise. The HP, I think, is actually one of the higher one for your tank, or at least on like above average. So there's nothing to worry about right there. So you can say the biggest gimmick for this unit is on the EX skill, or the EX skill and then the Transcendent skill. So when you are popping an EXQ for 8 seconds, it grants you a bullseye status, or I guess that's a rough translation. It's not the most perfect translation. They should have just used a easier naming and say a guarantee hit or something like that, because bullseye is like, I don't know. It feels like it's not the right terminology, but anyways. So for the 8 seconds duration, you are able to just literally land your hit on your opponent, unless your opponent has, let's say, absolute evasion. Then it kind of serves as a neutralizer right there. Or if you are facing an enemy with, let's say, just high amount of accuracy or high amount of evasion, you can still get them, because this one is literally bullseye. You cannot miss for the 8 seconds window. So that's the biggest thing, and that's going to be a detriment to this unit, because what that means is this unit is a heavily investment unit, because in terms of the EX at level 5, you do have to have it a max out to gain 8 seconds. Initially you are starting out at 4 seconds, so you are literally cutting your time in half, so you're not going to, like, you won't even notice it, because like the attack rate is not necessarily high. You, like, as far as you trying to time your, let's say, your missile funnel with this one, is probably not gonna have like a perfect cycling through. So I do feel like this, it's a cool gimmick, but at the same time I feel like they didn't do enough. All right. When we do take a look at the skill 1 and skill 2, they are just not enough. Like, it's cool that they're giving you like a EXQ gauge restore at 64% when the battle starts, but other than that, skill 1 is trash. All right, you don't get anything. So that's gonna be a problem for sure. So that's unfortunate. On skill 2 is decent. On taking damage, you are recovering HP, so 317 is not the biggest amount, but at least you do get something. So if you are able to tank decently well, or like, right, you should be able to regenerate HP relatively nice, so that's not bad. So this unit not only does it need high investment in terms of like you need dupes, you also need unit enhancement to fix your defense, because it's gonna be really important in trying to tank and trying to recover enough HP where you're not always at a deficit in a way. On the second effects, on taking damage for 10 seconds, you have reduced damage by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. So you at most can get up to a 25%, so that's actually pretty neat. But this is going to be a downfall for this unit, because as we do progress on, this is not going to be a unit that can literally tank everything, because you don't have anything that serves as a backbone besides the damage mitigation, and it's just not enough. So it's quite unfortunate, I would have to say. This is definitely not the best armor unit to go for to keep up with the power crab definitely not it. So if you're talking about right now in terms of what we have in game, I would say we don't really have the most power crap, like a really giga DPS running around. So I think using this unit is a-okay for the time being. But as we do progress onward, we're gonna start getting unit that's able to bust out bajillion damage. At that point in time, I feel like this unit is just not going to be that good. Alright, simply as that. Going back to the Transcendent skill, you do have increased defense by 50%, increased speed damage by 36%, and then lastly, increased accuracy by 75% for 8 seconds after popping EX skill. So they're alright, they're not really anything special. I will definitely trade in the beam attack with something more defensive tools. So like besides the defense, I would rather have some HP as well, please. Alright. Defense is definitely pretty good because if you are able to mitigate what kind of damage you are able to take, then you are able to take full advantage of restoring the HP. So this is definitely a unit that's going to pair up really nice with, let's say, Sisaku with full armor unicorn, because they are able to help this unit take less damage. So you are able to quote unquote tank and recover HP faster anyway, because you're taking less damage. So you are, let's say, matching the gap of the difference, the range of damage you're taking, and matching with whatever you're able to regenerate. So but overall, definitely a hot skill for this one. I really don't recommend it because there are just a lot of flaws in this unit, and I don't feel comfortable calling this one a really outstanding tank by any means. So we're definitely skipping that. But on the other hand, when we do take a look at Hathaway Noah, I think he's an alright tank pilot for say skill 1. You pretty much have your bare minimum that offers to red and to armor, so you are at least getting that. Guard rate is pretty important because that will allow you to guard more, so that's gonna tackle into the reaction value right there. So actually pretty nice. I'm pretty sure you guys don't know this, but in terms of this pilot specifically, this has received a buff. Initially, from what I recall back in the early days, Hathaway only has 2 effects, I recall correctly, and then they actually went ahead and buff it. I guess they feel that, oh no, I think they actually buffed it after, I want to say, they released the purple DO. I guess they felt that the current whatever they had back then was just not sufficient enough, so they actually added more for Hathaway over here. So that's a little bit of a side history for this pilot. So now it looks amazing, not really amazing, but it looks a little bit better. So high mobility, you are getting increased increased reaction, stacking up to what, 40%. So that will allow you to either evade or guard better. So that's actually pretty good. And then we are getting range sense increase. We have more range sense increase, stacking. This one is stackable 5 times 18%. So that's like a good what? That's like a good 90%, is it? If my math serves me right, yeah, that's a good 90%. So that's on both of them. So in theory wise, this unit could dash out high damage for sure. I'll definitely say it's possible. For my testing, it's actually not that bad. All right. And then lastly, we have increased accuracy, so up to 25%. Accuracy is definitely very important for this unit because of the what is it, the missile funnels. Because you're doing, I believe it's like 1 hit 10 times, for 10 times one hit or whatever. So it's very crucial for the missile funnels to land on the target, so you can capitalize on the EXQ gauge recovery. So overall, they definitely did a pretty decent job with the revamp of this pilot, but I wish that we would have gotten more defensive aspect for this package over here. Maybe more resistant, for example, or any of those sorts. That would have been great, because resistant, believe it or not, would make a break of how good a pilot is. So that they should have done that. But this one, if you do pull this one, for example, you can actually use it on Penelope. There will be a few exceptions. I believe the map, the Uprising, that one is obviously not going to apply, and I don't know if high mobility would be on Penelope as well. Probably would be, I would have to assume. But the other one, map D affiliated, that one is not going to be applicable to Penelope either. But overall, this is still a decently pilot that you can use for your red tanks. So if you do happen to pull this one, for example, you can definitely use it on Penelope as well. But like I said again, I do feel like Kasich Gundam is skippable just because of our release time frame. I do figure that, you know, towards the end of May they might actually release another banger, so I do definitely suggest you guys to hold off on the summoning. This is definitely not a unit that I will highly recommend you guys to go for. Definitely a skippable one. So with that said, that's gonna be it for me, and I'll be catching you guys all on the next one.